Retired New York financier Howard Rubin and his personal assistant are accused of spending $1 million to recruit women to engage in sex acts that sometimes turned violent.
If you take a little ditty, you throw in a little Epstein and Maxwell, you get this guy Howard Rubin and what he was involved in. This is an ex-Wall Street star.
April 21st, 2026. Today, the elite mask falls. Howard Rubin, the billionaire wizard of Bear Stearns and Soros, stands before a federal judge, exposing a decade of demonic depravity. While managing billions, Rubin allegedly operated a steel-reinforced torture dungeon in the heart of Manhattan. From 2012 to 2025, this 70-year-old predator used his vast wealth to traffic, cage, and brutalize women, treating them like disposable property. 14 years of screams silenced by Wall Street money. Is a billionaire's playroom above the law? This isn't finance, it's pure evil. Demand justice. Comment, lock him up, like and subscribe. The elite secrets end now.
In the high-stakes canyons of Wall Street, the name Howard Rubin was synonymous with absolute success. A former managing director at Bear Stearns and a top-tier wizard for George Soros's investment empire, Rubin wasn't just wealthy, he possessed the kind of systemic power that could move global markets with a single phone call. He inhabited a world of Hampton estates, multi-million-dollar art collections, and elite galas. But according to federal files unsealed today, April 21st, 2026, that pristine image was merely a high-gloss mask for a dungeon of horrors hidden in plain sight in the heart of Manhattan. The contrast here is nauseating. For 14 years, while Rubin was engineering complex financial structures by day, he was allegedly engineering a private prison by night. This wasn't just a playroom. It was a soundproofed, steel-reinforced chamber located in an apartment specifically rented to serve as a laboratory of suffering. Federal investigators discovered that Rubin didn't just buy hardware. He had iron bolts and restraints welded directly into the structural steel of the building. This shows a terrifying level of premeditation. Rubin didn't just commit crimes, he industrialized his depravity, using the same meticulous planning he used to manage billions. Rubin's methodology was a sick fusion of financial predatory tactics and monster-like brutality. He didn't pick targets at random. He used his wealth and elite status to scout for women in desperate financial straits, those facing debt, eviction, or the inability to support their children. To these women, Rubin appeared as a benefactor, a billionaire savior, dangling life-changing sums of money. But once they crossed the threshold of that reinforced steel door, the money transformed from a gift into a digital shackle. The details of what happened inside that chamber, described by prosecutors this morning, are beyond human endurance. From 2012 to 2025, Rubin allegedly transported victims across state lines, from the luxury lofts of California to the beaches of Florida, to satisfy extreme sadistic fantasies. Forensic medical reports presented to the jury show victims with permanent life-altering injuries. Yet, for over a decade, not a single scream reached the street. How? Because Rubin used the most lethal weapon in the Wall Street arsenal to enforce silence: the billionaire shield. Whenever a victim threatened to speak, Rubin didn't just use threats. He used a battery of high-priced lawyers and ironclad non-disclosure agreements. He used his vast wealth to buy a subscription to immunity, believing that as long as the checks cleared and the legal threats were loud enough, the law would never look behind his soundproofed walls. He treated these women like distressed assets, to be used, broken, and then liquidated when they were no longer of value to him. But as of April 21st, 2026, the wizard's spell has finally broken. When the FBI breached that Manhattan apartment in September 2025, they didn't just find tools of torture, they found the dark heart of an elite system that believes everything and everyone has a price. Howard Rubin is the ultimate nightmare of the billionaire class, a man who had everything and used it to fund a descent into pure, unadulterated evil. The billionaire's immunity officially ended at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday in September 2025. When the FBI's hostage rescue team used a hydraulic ram to breach the reinforced door of Rubin's Manhattan playroom, they didn't find a high-end bachelor pad. They found a crime scene that looked like a surgical theater for the sadistic. The air was thick with the smell of industrial cleaners, a desperate attempt to scrub away DNA. But the physical evidence built into the walls was impossible to hide. Forensic teams spent 72 hours inside that apartment. They uncovered high-definition cameras hidden in the vents, designed to record every moment of agony. This wasn't just for Rubin's sick pleasure. Investigators believe these recordings were used as blackmail insurance. If a victim ever thought about going to the police, Rubin allegedly held the ultimate weapon: the threat of releasing footage that would destroy their lives and reputations forever. This is the Wall Street mindset applied to human trafficking, creating a mutually assured destruction contract where the victim has everything to lose and the billionaire has the lawyers to survive. But how did he get away with it since 2012? The answer lies in the silence merchants, the army of high-priced attorneys and fixers Rubin kept on a multi-million-dollar retainer. In the 2026 hearings, it was revealed that whenever a woman managed to escape or required emergency medical attention, Rubin's legal team would descend like vultures. They didn't offer help, they offered non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, wrapped in cash. These weren't standard business contracts. They were gag orders designed to privatize a felony. Prosecutors have presented evidence that Rubin's fixers would pay off hospital staff and threaten victims with ruinous litigation if they ever uttered his name to a state authority. This is the elite shield in its most predatory form. Rubin spent more on legal fees to hide his crimes than most Americans earn in 10 lifetimes. To him, the justice system wasn't a barrier. It was a commodity he could manipulate, just like the junk bonds that built his fortune. The breakthrough came from survivor number 1. For years, she had been trapped in Rubin's orbit, moved between his properties like cargo. She had been beaten to the point of permanent spinal damage, but in 2025, she did the unthinkable. She threw a handwritten note out of a bathroom window during a session in California. That note didn't just contain a plea for help, it contained the specific address of the Manhattan dungeon. When the FBI matched her testimony with the forensic data from the apartment, the wizard's empire began to liquefy. They found that Rubin had been using a series of offshore shell companies to pay for the playroom's rent, utilities, and the specialized equipment used for his crimes. These companies were the same ones he used for his legitimate high-frequency trading. The money that funded the torture of women was the same money being managed for global pension funds and elite investors. The line between billionaire and predator was effectively erased. In the April 2026 trial, the defense is attempting to paint Rubin as a frail, elderly man with consensual fetishes, but the prosecution's counterstrike has been devastating. They've produced the industrial blueprints. These documents prove that Rubin personally oversaw the installation of the steel reinforcements and the soundproofing. He didn't accidentally go too far. He spent years and millions of dollars building a facility designed to maximize pain and minimize the chance of discovery. The most sickening revelation from the September raid was the discovery of a predator's ledger. Rubin, ever the meticulous financier, kept detailed records of every woman he trafficked. He graded them. He noted their breaking points. He tracked his return on investment based on their compliance. This is the cold, dead heart of the Wall Street monster, a man who looked at human suffering and saw only a data point on a spreadsheet. As we move toward the final verdict, the question isn't just about Rubin's guilt, it's about the culture that allowed him to thrive. How many fixers knew the truth? How many bankers saw the suspicious offshore payments to apartment management and looked the other way? The 2026 investigation is no longer just about one man. It's an indictment of an entire class of untouchables who believe that if you have enough zeros in your bank account, the screams of your victims don't exist. As the federal trial reaches its climax on April 21, 2026, the Wizard of Wall Street has been stripped of his magic. The man who once sat at the pinnacle of global finance, the architect of billion-dollar trades for Bear Stearns and Soros, is now a broken figure in a jumpsuit, facing the cold reality of a life sentence. But the true story of this final chapter isn't just about a jail cell. It is about the total forensic liquidation of a predator's life and the terrifying realization that Howard Rubin was never alone. The 2026 verdict has triggered a financial carpet bombing of Rubin's assets. Under the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, federal authorities have moved to seize everything. We are talking about the blood assets, the $40 million Manhattan penthouse where the screams were silenced, the sprawling $15 million Connecticut estate, and a world-class art collection that was funded by the same accounts used to pay for the silence merchants. The Department of Justice has made it clear, every penny Rubin made while operating his secret chamber is now being funneled into a massive restitution fund for the survivors. This is no longer just a trial, it is a forensic dismemberment of a billionaire's empire. But as the gavel falls, a new, more dangerous investigation is just beginning. The Rubin ledger, the meticulous record-keeping found during the September 2025 raid, has sent shockwaves through the Hamptons and the boardrooms of New York. The 2026 leaks suggest that Rubin wasn't just a solo predator. He was part of an elite echo chamber. His call logs and encrypted messages reveal a network of high-profile associates who may not have entered the playroom, but certainly knew the price of the wizard's silence. The question every American is asking today, who else was on the list? The Wall Street fallout has been swift and desperate. As of late April 2026, several major financial institutions have begun scrubbing their records, attempting to erase any historical connection to Rubin. They are terrified of the complicity tax. If it can be proven that banks or investment funds ignored the red flags, the massive offshore transfers to specialized contractors, the NDAs paid out through corporate accounts, then the institutions themselves could face criminal charges. The Rubin case has exposed a systemic blind spot where billions of dollars in dark money allowed a monster to operate a dungeon for 14 years without a single compliance officer raising an eyebrow. For the survivors, the verdict is a victory, but the scars are permanent. Survivor number 1, the woman who threw her plea for help out of a California window, spoke on the courthouse steps today. Her words were a chilling reminder of what elite privilege actually costs. She didn't talk about the money, she talked about the 14-year nightmare and the betrayal of a society that protected the predator because his portfolio was profitable. Her testimony has ignited a national movement to ban ND. As in cases involving physical and sexual violence, a law that many are calling Rubin's Law. As Howard Rubin is led away to spend the rest of his life behind bars, the mask of Wall Street remains cracked. This case has proven that pure evil doesn't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes, it hides in a corner office with a view of Central Park. It proves that a billionaire's playroom is not above the law, no matter how reinforced the steel or how expensive the lawyers. The file on Howard Rubin is closing, but the hunt for the others is just beginning. The elite shield has been breached. The soundproofed walls have been torn down. And as we look at the wreckage of this billionaire's legacy, we are left with one final, haunting truth. In the heart of Manhattan, under the glow of the world's most powerful financial centers, the screams were always there. We just had to stop counting the money long enough to hear them. The era of immunity for the elite is under fire. And as the sun sets on Rubin's empire, the message to every other predator in a tailored suit is loud and clear. There is no vault deep enough to hide the truth forever. The case of Howard Rubin is more than a story of one man's depravity. It is a final warning to an entire system. For 14 years, a billionaire lived a double life, managing the world's wealth by day and managing a chamber of horrors by night. He believed that with enough zeros in his bank account, the screams of his victims would never reach the light of day. He believed that elite meant untouchable. But as of April 21st, 2026, that belief has been liquidated. Howard Rubin will spend the rest of his life in a cell that, ironically, is much smaller and far less luxurious than the steel-reinforced room he built for others. His estates are being seized, his art is being auctioned, and his name is being erased from the history of the institutions he once led. However, we cannot stop here. The Rubin file has exposed a culture of silence that spans from the boardrooms of Wall Street to the high-priced law firms of Manhattan. We have to ask, who else knew? Who signed the checks for the fixers? Who looked at the suspicious offshore payments and chose to see only the profit? The mask is off, But the hunt for the truth continues. This isn't just about finance. It's about the fundamental right to safety and justice that no billionaire should ever be able to buy. We are watching the elite shield shatter in real time, and we will not stop until every secret chamber is torn down. What is your verdict? Should the banks and law firms that enabled Rubin's silence also face criminal charges? Type accountability or complicity in the comments. Don't let this story be silenced again. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay informed on the next file. The elite's secrets end now. We'll see you in the next investigation.